DUI, driving under the influence of what? We automatically always think in terms of alcohol, don't we? Well, in this case, you may be responding, not always, after you listen to our guest, David Larimer, Program Director of the Scottsdale Recovery Center. Let's define what we're talking about when it comes to impairment in general.
Morning, Pat. So drugged driving is an individual that's impaired through the use of legal or illegal drugs, other than alcohol.
And how common is that?
Well, unfortunately, the Governor's Highway Safety Association put out statistics, and now currently, for the first time, drug driving fatalities have exceeded drunk driving fatalities 43 to 37%.
Now, we're not talking just about people who are addicted. We're also talking about people who are legally using drugs.
Absolutely.
But driving when they shouldn't.
Correct. Absolutely.
How do they know when it's okay to drive if they happen to be on a regular program of drug use for pain?
Most folks understand that when you're under the influence of a sedative, a narcotic, or even medical marijuana, you potentially could be impaired. So it's critical for you to understand your level of impairment before you get behind the wheel.
There's so many pain drugs out there on the market, and so many that are prescribed. What kind are we talking about now? Commonly the fault of DUIs.
So the second most frequent used substance other than alcohol is marijuana and prescription medication, whether it's sedatives like Valium or Xanax, or even the pain medication narcotic like OxyContin or oxycodone and hydrocodone.
And some of them are so powerful. I was reading a paper this morning about the difficulties that some of the baggage handlers have at Sky Harbor because of the influx of fentanyl in some people's baggage. And how powerful is that?
You really can't have it on your body. I mean, the law enforcement officials have to be very careful about not touching it because you can absorb it into your bloodstream through your skin, and it is 100 times more powerful than heroin. So it's an incredibly potent substance.
You heard my guess correctly. It's 100 times more powerful than heroin. And heroin, of course, the cause of so many ODs, so many deaths when misused. Fentanyl is now, because of that impact, because the high is so immediate and so powerful, really sought after by drug users.
Well, unfortunately, it's cheap, and so much of the heroin in the street right now is cut with fentanyl, and people don't know that. So you had 33,000 overdoses recently, which almost is the same amount of fatalities, 35,000 fatalities, because of opiates that are cut or laced with fentanyl.
But if one has been using drugs, not drinking at all, but just using drugs and driving, and stopped by law enforcement, what kind of testing can prove what you have in your system?
Well, the roadside test is still valid. It still can determine whether you're impaired based on your performance of that roadside.
A breathalyzer, you mean?
Not a breathalyzer, but the roadside exercises. You know, the ones that they use.
Right, the
walking the straight line, because you will be impaired. So that's one test. The other thing that most people don't understand is that when you signed for your driver's license, you automatically gave the state of Arizona permission to draw your blood. So a blood test can and will be administered.
And in some cases, when you're talking about driving while drugged, you wind up with somebody driving on the wrong side, going in the wrong direction, most especially on the freeway, and that's been happening so frequently here.
With increased frequency, absolutely. The last stat that we had was 69 fatalities resulting in wrong-way driving, and 44 of those were impaired because of drugs or alcohol.
Arizona has the toughest DUI laws in the country. It seems as if that would discourage most people, but it doesn't.
Well, in the spirit of the National Recovery Month, which is this month, what we find is that most people that use drugs or alcohol and drive, they're repeat offenders and typically have a serious addiction issue that require treatment.
Treatment, for example, at Scottsdale Recovery Center.
Absolutely.
For general information, can For you?
Absolutely. We have an 800 number, 888-NO-DRUGS. We have a website, and they're more than welcome to give us a call.
And if it wasn't handy to take that down, you can always contact us and our guests at aztv.com.